What's up, guys? So I'm sick. I have exam tomorrow, but I decided to. I actually found out I hadn't done a video on the latest chapter of Toriko, so this review is for you guys. Long story short, this chapter was very, very simple, but it was like a revelation. It was one of those once in a lifetime chapters where you see what happens after the time skip. So I'm gonna sit up. I'm really, really sick right now. But this chapter was a sort of revelation after the time skip chapter, which pretty much means, after a manga series time skip, whether it's a couple months or a couple years, we get to see what the characters are like. Most of the time, in the few big manga I've seen, the changes aren't that drastic. Sure, they're much more mature. You got costume changes and so forth. And this is what somewhat happened in this chapter. So we got a whole new wardrobe change for all of them. Honestly, like Sunny and Coco, they look kind of weird. They didn't look stronger at all. Mansum's now the president. He actually looks pretty darn awesome. Most likely, I'm assuming everyone's leveled up, but at the same time, I feel like I have my doubts in Mansum because, like, in effect, he pretty much said that no one has ever defeated him until Ichirayu came along, and then that's changed when he finally got into a fight again during the Colosseum arc, and he gets this well, he doesn't get destroyed, but he has a hard time dealing with the vice president. And then on top of that, there's obviously probably many stronger people in both the IGO, Neo, and what's the last group called? The Bishokuya. But one of the revelations that was actually talked about in a latter chapter, previous chapter, which was basically what happened was it was revealed that Neo didn't actually have that many legitimate recruits. Half of them, or maybe 90% of them, were mind controlled, which let me down a lot. I thought it would have been a lot cooler if the author set it up so that these guys were actually double spies to begin with, double agents. But for whatever reason, he changed his mind, and so these guys are now not double spies, but they're just freaking mind controlled. So there we got Neo, which is 80%, 90% mind controlled. Still, I mean, to mind control so many high level people, I mean, ridiculous. Still, I'm very curious to see what happens. I'm kind of weirded out and confused why no one other than Toriko went into the gourmet world. They would have trained and powered up a lot more if they had. Apparently, it seems like Toriko was maybe the only one capable of, but it was clear that he learned many things in this chapter that the others didn't by being in the gourmet world. And we know now that the gourmet world is like on a totally different level. Finally, we see this ridiculous technique with Toriko looking into the past. I want to see what happens, whether or not they keep it so that Toriko is always going to be on the same level as the other three Heavenly Kings. Maybe they'll make it so that the other kings catch up. I'd rather have Toriko surpass them right now. Maybe I'd let Zebra. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Zebra was like one of the strongest in the series. I like Zebra as a character. And so Coco's sort of like saying how Toriko sort of surpassed him because he can now look into the past, and he does this weird smelling thing where he can, through smell, detect in sequential order the last like 100 people that pass through a spot just by smelling that spot and detecting their odors. But after reading that, I thought to myself, well, Coco, when you go into a gourmet world, you're probably going to level up your X-ray vision or whatever vision you have to a comparable degree. Maybe not in being able to see into the past, but something comparable. And then finally, we got this thing where uh, and I noticed it first. You see all these when Toriko uh, paints all the images of the creatures that pass through that spot when he sniffs the spot. Um, the one, the creature right before Ichirayu was the same creature that was shown at the very last panel of the chapter, who was up in that tiny little hut next to the treasure chest. So I found it kind of weird how they just went to the treasure chest and sort of not even realized that there was a freaking hut and a bunch of other like memorabilia and other stuff next to the treasure chest. I thought that was somewhat naive Toriko, especially when he's in the gourmet world and everything's so dangerous. So there was a little bit of a disconnect there. That's all I gotta say. So as always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe for more.